Thank you, David, for today's proclamation of our Lord's life and the words that came down upon him. Because today we celebrate the baptism of the Lord. And sometimes on this day, as other days we may have an infant or a child or an adult here with their parent and parents, godparents / sponsors, we call them now, extended family with them and friends. And I'm sure you might recall your own baptism, or if you have not been baptized yet, you've maybe been to a baptism. Now, for some of us, because some of us are that age group, let's put it that way, I'm in that age group, it was usually an infant, it was always an infant baptism, wasn't it? And Anglicans, of course, do an infant baptism, but over the years, the increasing numbers have been, children of various ages as well, and adults. And I was baptized. I was thinking about it when I was baptized. I can't remember it, but I have the photos, and my mother and father always told me about it. I was baptized over at the First Holy Trinity Church here in White Rock, and which makes me old. Pioneers, I guess. Not as old as some of the pioneers, but pioneer just the same. But it's good to look at the photos, if you have one, or of other baptisms in your family, or to look back and find that baptismal certificate. Parishes had them, and to see who signed them and what it was all about, and think about what that was like back then. And I remember my mother and grandmothers and aunties all saying, you always have to make sure the infant's baptized right away. And I always thought, oh, what is that about? Is that an old wives' tale or one of those things you hand down from family to family? But there was a fear, I think, that a child should be baptized, even because of serious illness or death. And for hospital chaplains, that's one of the first things you learn, is where the birthing unit is in case there's a call for to go there. And what is interesting is we always have to remember that although we have this story that we float about, God's love is great, and God has full loving care for all and infants, even if they die unbaptized. So we always have to remember that God has this wonderful, great love. So in spite of the fear story that some of us have grown up with, you have to remember that, not to fall into it. And so, of course, in these later years in the Anglican Church, we have always had our baptisms as part of the enter into our larger family, into our loving parish families, our parish community. And it gives us, as well, a chance to reconsider our baptism and to say the commitment again, to do it with others. And that's always a wonderful thing to do. While they're saying that we're paying attention to what was said for us and what it means for us. And the other part is, baptism now is done within a service. The service is in the parish. I can remember from my parents, they rushed off with the godparents to Holy Trinity, and it was just them and the godparents and the clergy person. But that's not what happens now. It's a community, a welcoming to the larger family. That's very important. And we also have the water as our symbol of life and cleansing. And we were reminded in St. Luke this morning of the water, but the waters are creation. The waters are deliverance. And the water, of course, as this morning we are reminded, is what Jesus was baptized in, which was the Jordan. And I remember that when I'd only seen the Jordan once, and I was surprised. I thought it was going to be bigger, I thought it was going to be a big, wide river, and I thought, oh my goodness, it's this important river, Jordan River, is what it is. It's the size it is, and there were all of these dear people being baptized in the river as took place for Jesus. So the only other thing is in our parish, it's a wonderful thing that happens. When there is a baptism here, there's a few drops of water in the River Jordan, and I think that's a wonderful connection. So as Anglicans, sometimes we also forget, especially if we have a friend or a family member who's from another Christian denomination, a mainline denomination, we all believe and say the same thing around baptism. I don't want to call it a formula, but that's the word that's used sometimes. And we've done it for a long time. We've done it since the early 1980s. So if you're baptized in one denomination, mainline denomination, you don't have to be re-baptized. Sometimes that's like another myth, that it makes people shy of maybe becoming a feeling that they're a full member of the parish. Your baptism holds, let's put it that way. And although many do like to do a public service of confirmation, that is not at all unusual. And the other wonderful thing I find in a baptism is the name is used. It's used because that name is just the name for each of us. God knows our name. In fact, God may even have known our name when we were in the womb. We don't know. Sometimes we, as parents, don't come up with the name right away, but God probably knows, because God knows each of us, because we're all unique. And our baptism service certainly gives us some other things that we need to remember. And one is the candle. And of course, we have the light this morning. The candle is to remind us when the newly baptized receive it, the passing from darkness to light. So we have the candle this morning to remind us the passing of darkness to light with Jesus and his baptism. And then, of course, there's that wonderful welcome that we do in the parish, where especially babies and young children are taken down the aisle and welcomed by everybody. Because we all share, and we'll be sharing the life of faith together, and the responsibilities here together in small or other ways. So our first reading this morning by the prophet Isaiah in the Old Testament, he speaks of the supremacy of Yahweh, of God. And he speaks in great fullness about it. He's a key prophet, and he speaks of many things, not just the gathering of the north, the south, and the east, and the west, and bringing them all together as a nation, but he has many prophecies. If you look at his full book, it's chock full of them. And it's interesting because he lived in a time well before the birth of Jesus. And, it was a time of the ancient Israelites. And there he was with these prophecies for the future. And it's hard for us to remember that he did that, except his book that was among all the papers and manuscripts that were in the Dead Sea Scrolls. But his was a very complete book. And he lived in a time of great turmoil. And yet he had wonderful things about the promise that was coming. There was a purpose that was coming, and a freedom coming for the Israelites. So that ties us in with John the Baptist, because Isaiah was a forerunner of his time, and so was John the Baptist, because he too was preparing the way. And he was a cousin of Jesus. And he did not, of course, consider himself a prophet, but he was preparing the way for Jesus. And further, earlier in Luke, he noted three things about John and about his message as a forerunner to Jesus. First, the suggestion was people should share with each other. Well, that was a social gospel message. And that we should use those gifts given to us by God. And then definitely that he was a forerunner. He was what we call a preparing ministry. And in a way, that's what happens before we're baptized, aren't we? With parents and adults and family members, clergy and lay people, help them prepare even for the service, for the words they're going to say and the things that they're going to be committing to. And John the Baptist's baptism was not like a Christian baptism. He was helping Jews who thought they, at that time, were perhaps exempt from God's judgment because they were favored people. So it was to help them to repent. And that was what was different. He was saying, repent. The kingdom of God is at hand. And then we have this wonderful thing that takes place in the baptism of Jesus. And that is that part about the dove. I don't know how many times you've read in the other Gospels about what happens, or if you want to go back about how they portray the scene. But Luke's version is just a little different from the others, because in each version, although the Spirit descends like a dove, it is a metaphor for the Spirit coming. And when we think of it, for us, it's a metaphor for us too, of how the Spirit comes into our lives. It's a beautiful metaphor. I don't know if you've ever watched doves, when they go up and then they come down and they land. They're graceful, they're gentle, they're quiet. And that's the way the Holy Spirit enters our lives. The Holy Spirit came to Jesus gently, quietly, and God was so pleased. And that's something for us to hold in our hearts. How does the Holy Spirit come to us, we who are baptized in 2019? Because when we were baptized, we made our commitment to fully follow Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.